Let's get sweaty.
Hey guys, welcome to a Shenmue Dojo video. Overnight, our friend FROGBULL was back doing more Shenmue on the Sega Saturn. I'm going to talk about exactly what he's done momentarily, but first and foremost, I want to drive us back a little bit to tell you about who he is and what he's been doing in his previous work and all the rest of it. So, you may remember FROGBULL released over on native Sega Saturn hardware. He got Metal Gear Solid running and he got Crash Bandicoot running, and it's released to a massive amount of fanfare, looked fantastic, and sort of paved the way, I guess, for these sorts of what can and can't run on the Sega Saturn if you know what you're doing with it. Then, at the tail end of November last year, he then released for the Sega Saturn 30th anniversary, and also sort of tied in, I guess, with the Dreamcast 25th anniversary of Shenmue's release. He released Sega Saturn footage of the U arcade in all its glory. So within that, you could explore the arcade itself. You could play some of the mini games. So if I remember correctly, QTE Title was working, and also there was a version of Space Harrier that worked. It was using the Master System version of Space Harrier, but again, much like in the actual final release of Shenmue, you could go and play those games at your own leisure. They all work, and again, the aesthetic was fantastic when you look at it compared to the Shenmue 2 footage from the Sega Saturn back from the Dreamcast era. When you unlocked and finished the game, rather, you'd unlock the Sega Saturn footage of Shenmue. Well, Shenmue 1 and 2 essentially were together. It looks like that aesthetic there, so fantastic work. So naturally you're thinking, well, what's going to come next? And what comes next is now the Harbour in all its Sega Saturn glory, and Forklift Racing, which I guess with Shenmue makes a lot of sense. You're going to do your arcade and you're going to do your Forklift Racing. So what we have here in this footage is a look of the Harbour in all its Sega Saturn glory. Again, very close to the aesthetic from the captured footage from back in the day on the Sega Saturn of Shenmue 1 and 2. Great, that's fantastic, and I mean, it should do, don't get me wrong, but to have it looking that way and looking at it almost identical to it, I think is a real achievement in itself. When you look around the harbour and the footage, you can absolutely see those sorts of, I call them Sega Saturn greys. You understand what I mean by when you see it, and the colour palette, I don't know, it just, you know, it screams Sega Saturn for me. So that's a real big compliment to it as well. But what he's also got going is Forklift Racing itself. So while the route is different, the forklifts all move around the harbour, and you get a proper good look at the harbour and racing and overtaking everything else. That is complete with, obviously, traditional forklift racing music. You can't not have that. And then at the end, you get a little bit of a HUD sort of pop up. And also you have the accelerator on the left-hand side of the screen, and obviously the clock on the right-hand side of the screen as well. So again, it is a very short video, sort of 4-5 minute video, but a proper good look at the harbour in all its Sega Saturn glory. And as I keep saying with this work, this work is phenomenal work. This is another superb piece of work from FROGBULL, and I just can't wait to see what he's going to do next. I'd love to see, I don't know, a proper sort of walk around of Weta. That would be fantastic. Even just walking around the Shenmue Dojo, so just so you can see it in comparison to that actual footage. Something like that would be an awesome look. But I'm not going to tell him what to do. He can do whatever he likes. Just some personal requests, if you wouldn't mind. Anyway, I'm going to bring us to a close there. Hope you enjoyed that very short look at FROGBULL's Sega Saturn Shenmue Harbour Forklift Racing that's just come out overnight. Don't forget to give us a like, share, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all the usual places you can find us. Also, additionally, if you want to be a member for £2 a month, you get all these videos ahead of time. Nothing's locked behind the paywall. It just goes onto the Saturday scheduling system, so we'll release weekly if you're not a member, but that's absolutely fine. And all the money and running, it goes all to the running costs of the website that James and I incur, and competitions and everything else. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave things there. Thank you for sticking with me. Hope you enjoyed the footage, and I will see you all soon. Take it easy, guys, and have a good one.